Good afternoon, all. Camelback Trading 2724 coming to you this Thursday afternoon, December 5th. We're looking at the market profile on Window Trader of the SPY ETF. Looking at the last 2 or 3 days, and for a day with very, very light volume. I mean, right now my volume is under 38 million. So we had decent volume on those 2 down days. And now on the grind up, yesterday was in the 40s, today's 38. So with the after hours, it'll be in the 30s also. Slow grind up all the time. But for that little volume, bunch of opportunities today that came to fruition. Opened, I believe it or not, I opened on a gap for about less than a second and then immediately drove down. Didn't do anything, didn't have a chance really to do anything, opened and drove down. But as soon as it came back up to M's high, value high, and basically last week's low again, which we'll talk about because it's important, took a decent sized put position and then basically stopped there. It went down on really poor structure, tried to come up, repair some, and then we went right down to the meat of where all the volume was being done in A, and that's where I got out. So it was really nice trade to start the day. B period started, took out A's low, and started getting flushed down to yesterday's opening, and we still had the gap. I took a call position. Now remember, at the time when the market opened, value was higher. Then it was overlapping to high, then it was overlapping to lower right away. But we drove down. I started a call position because I was banking on yesterday's low and the gap. Took on some really good size at yesterday's opening. Now, when C period opened and we couldn't get anywhere near B's low, I was very, very comfortable holding that position because the bulk of my position was down here. Started taking some off as soon as C opened because I was already in the money, even though we had single prints, and then worked it all the way up and got flat right at the single prints. And the reason I got flat is because we were one time framing down in A, B, and C at the time. And I didn't think they'd want to give it up so easily. And they didn't. Eventually they did at the end of C and then in D period. So that was a really good trade on the long side. And then, again, we started the game of just trading sideways. We were 8 wide. Started shorting it again. Once it got above D's high, I waited a little bit, then started taking short in I, J, K. Actually, when J flushed out, yes, I and J, I started my put position. J came in, I took off 2/3 of it. Held on to 1/3 of it, went back up. K started, and I added again in K, again, basically at the same place. Value high and M high from yesterday. And then we got that literally 1 minute flush out that took us down 80, 90 cents. And it's a good thing I had the book layered to get out of my position on the way down, because by the time my machine froze on that, and basically by the time I was able to see what was going on, we were all the way back up to here almost. So that turned out to be a very nice trade. So 3 trades on the day. Short, long, short. Watched L&M. Thought we might go out with a price probe. We did not. We missed the day's high by 5 ticks. So now let's go over destinations and take a look at the charts. So on the upside, 312.25, today's high. Then we have, I gave these all to you this morning, so I'm just going to give you the single prints. They start at 312.61 and they get filled to 313.02. And then you should have the rest of the upside destinations that we have. There's about 5 of them. On the downside, we have 311.41, where we were 9 wide today. It took that flush out in K to get to 9 wide. I was actually very surprised in J and K initially that we were having trouble to get down to make it 9 wide, but we finally got it. So 311.41, 9 wide. G's low, 311.06. Nothing's a coincidence, right? I don't believe in those. When that flushed out, K's low went down to 311. Where do we get down to in K's low? But it was just above G's low and stopped on a dime and went right back up. So 311.06 afternoon pullback low. Then we have today's low of 310.58, yesterday's low of 310.32, and then filling the gap at 309.64, 68-point gap. Monthly, up. Gap is my main focus. Weekly, nice 4-week balance with the all-time high as the high of it and this week's low as the low of our balance. Basically a little over an $8 range. And then the daily, firmly in balance now, right? We went up, balance, down, back to balance. Gap is still my main focus. Now, real quick, last week's low was 311.98. Okay? We took out 3 weekly lows in one shot over those 2 days, right? We took out 6 lows, 3 daily, 3 weekly. We got back inside 2 of those weeks' ranges in a heartbeat. But we have been absolutely having a major league brawl at that 311.98 area, which is last week's low. And to me, that's important for a couple of reasons. If you get accepted back into last week's range, well, then your ultimate destination in this balance is going to be the balance high. So after all the work the sellers did, do they want to give that up so quickly? I think that's why there is such a great fight going on at that level. So tomorrow, with the non-farm payroll number coming out, this level is going to decide if the buyers get accepted above it. Well, then ultimately we should test the top of the balance and test the all-time high. If the sellers finally went out at last week's low and keep them out of it, then you're going to ultimately test the bottom of this balance. And then we go from there. If you break it, then you're going to go for the monthly low. If the buyers win, you ultimately go to the top. If it fails, you roll back over. If you get through it, we have new highs. Hope you had a great day trading. Have a great evening, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.